Hi Cancer, so nice to see you. Polina here talking to you about Jupiter transiting your fifth house. And this is the third time I'm doing this video. So let's talk about you and the beauty of life. How about that? The joy of creation, the fun of this world, the fun of you, the fun. For the fun of it, for the fuck of it, for the greatness, for the beauty, for the decision to be real, for the laughter of the moment, for the joy of yourself being, just being a child. This is interesting. But by being the I told you so person, you mark things up not just for yourself but for others too. You've got the power of attorney here, and yes, you can, how can I say, stir the dirt. You can bring the dirt up from the bottom and help things ascend really, really quickly. You can point out the flaws in somebody. You can point out the flaws only in yourself, actually, by doing that to other people. It's not such a good time to tell somebody off. It is not. The best parenting, the best friendship, the best advice you can give is not on the dark side of things, it's on the light. Where is the joke? Where is the joke in this? Where is the joke in that? Careful with what you think as well, because we can all hear each other think. It is not an easy time to be silly. It is not an easy time to be free, as we're looking to the future of you and not the past, which can't really feel that good, because sometimes what am I if I do not understand the past? And the past becomes almost like an uncomfortable joke on you if you don't get it. The joke, the punchline, the fun bit in the story. There's a lot of love there for you. There's a lot of love there in the Jupiterian transit for your fifth house, and there's a lot of lust as well, which can be transformed into all things new, pretty, beautiful, and extraordinary. There is an extraordinary cycle happening here, and a miraculous one at that. If you don't want it, don't have it, don't play. If you don't like it, don't say anything, just listen to yourself. It is not a good idea to tell off your children. It is not a good idea to punish your pets. It's the best time to sit still if you can't handle the truth of the moment, and if you can't handle the truth of you. It is not a good time to argue. It's the best kind of energy to be free and to be freeing to the point where you're a little bit of a weirdo, rather than to be somebody who is incredibly unsatisfied with what you see and what you understand in the people in this world. It is not a good time. It is never a great transit for love if you can't see the perfection of the now. Can you care for this person? Can you care for this energy? Can you sparkle with it? No. It's not yours then. Just let it go. If you can, take the best. You're on a date, you've never seen this person before, and you're looking at them and you're wondering, why did we have this experience? Why did we book this in? Look at the time. Find the joy in that. Find the joy. If you don't like it, that somebody comes over to you on the first date and they're wearing something you do not like, they're wearing too much cologne, or they're speaking in a funny accent, be real with it. Something that stands out to you, that sticks out to you, that you do not like, is yours. It's yours. Have fun with it. You see a woman in the front of you and she's got, for example, a low cleavage, and you don't feel comfortable with that. Next day, try that yourself. Feel what it would feel like. We're all mirroring you here. If you are not interested in, for example, the person and how they are in the world, do not judge them for it. It is okay. It's okay for them to be a little bit, like this or like that. We're all a bit retarded sometimes. And don't take charge. Just dance, because occasionally with a transit like this, you can be in charge of other people's things for a really long time without needing to be at all. It's a perfect time for pets. It is a perfect time for pets. It is a perfect time to be in love and enjoy. It is not so good if you are teaching your dog how to be a human. If you are taking selfies of yourself with the puppy as if you are the happiest person in the world, and then you leave it in the corner. It is not good to have a happy relationship with your child on the outside and then tell them off in your mind all the time. It is not it is not a good idea to take things unkindly that are actually incredibly fragile. What you see in another person may not feel like it is, but it is. You might be able to tell someone off, to have a little joke about who they've come to be, or what they enjoy to do for a job, or what they enjoy to do for fun. But know that when you're taking the piss out of people, that has been taken out of you. So instead of having to compete with others as well, it's a really, really good time to let things go and to smile and to laugh, because that energetically creates a much better vortex for you for the next 6 or 7 years. Sometimes even more. The more important thing here is to discover the truth. Discover the truth and what you think you know. Discover it. You might have a very set way, unfortunately, or fortunately, of looking at things. You might have a very, very set up way of looking at your child, especially at your daughter's or your son's choices. You might have a very, very set and specific way of looking at the world, but will you be there, or will you be left behind? That's the question. If you are not able to laugh and sparkle within you, you are not going to be welcome later anywhere. That's the false energy of Cancer. When you can't commit to things being different from you, or if you can't create fun and enjoyment in the beginning and the middle and the end of things, if you can't have fun, if you can't sparkle, if you can't create joy, watch what the moon is doing, celebrate the moon, celebrate the equinox, and the solstice. If you don't know how to start, finish, and adapt to cycles, when they begin, and you're starting things on the wrong note, or you're not happy with things and you don't want things, and you're always like in tribulation and you're not happy, that's not going to help you get further in life. The best type of energy here is not to joke about what other people do. It is not to poke fun, especially at, for example, your husband's interest, like if he's, for example, renovating a boat, or at your child's interest, if, for example, your teenage daughter has got a new boyfriend, even if he is a bit older than her and is like to you or no gooder. It isn't good. It isn't good for you to trouble yourself with other people's ideas of joy. Because if you know better, it doesn't matter. Because occasionally Cancer can get very stuck between people, very stuck between circumstances, between a rock and a hard place quite often, if they're not able to adapt and to laugh and to have spunk about it. And the worst thing is that you can't descend. Yes, you can read all the books. Yes, you can know all the knowledge. You can watch all the videos, and you can know exactly what's up, and you can have your notes here, and you can be very, very well equipped, with everything that you are. But at the same time, neither thing is going to help you if you're not able to see joy, if you're not able to just laugh, if you're not able to see the light side, or at least have fun with it in some way. Have fun. Be extravagant, be ecstatic, be somebody of a guru of joy this time around, without having to be the nagging person. Even if it's beyond you, it even may feel like a mask. But for now, it might help if you just try to see the joy and the happy parts of you and other people. It is not a good time to judge. It is just not. It is not, because not only just does it leave you behind, but it prevents you from your highest person that you're going to become. It's sort of like brings you to a closure so much that you can't sometimes like say come out of the house or come out of a situation. So it is very, 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 very healing to show up as you do, when you do, how you do. I feel that your air of presence is good. How you show up, where you show up is great. Or you might have a few different things that you do that are really, really kosher and really well ironed and stuff like that. But it's not even about showing up now. It is where you show up and how. How? Like, if you are that person in the corner still looking around and seeing people's competition, it's not great. If you are the person that shows your true colors when you're speaking to your best friend about it, about things, but say, for example, to other people you create a mask that's not so understood. If you are trying to become different people for different people, it's not so awesome. If you are willing for a person to thrive only through your advice, it's not good. If you are trying to have too much control over another person, that's not going to happen. If you're going to sit there with somebody and love them and care for them, but at the same time inside be in rage or be in jealousy about something about them, and all of these different types of feelings, all these flashes of light, all these flashes of like, you know, like being angry, but also at the same time being angry in love. You know, things like that can be very, very healing for you at first. But as the cycle completes itself, you know, because we're looking at Pluto in your in your 7th house, and Plutonian run 5th house. Here in Plutonian run Scorpio, Pluto might run high, so mistakes are not easily fixed. Deep ends are possible. I have a feeling that for you and for me, perhaps I've got a very, very large Plutonian presence in my chart. With Pluto energized things, Plutonian things, so joy and happiness, trying to find the best in life, trying to find the joy, trying to create more, trying to become more, trying to learn, trying to find or feel what power is, what full life is, what the joy of living is. If you are not connected to those things in other people, if you are judging somebody for, say, being a singer, if they're not very good at singing, or trying to be a dancer even though they're older, you know, if you're judging people for the silly things you think they do, and perhaps you do know best, you know that they're not going to establish themselves, you know they might not accomplish themselves, and if you do keep on thinking that life is limited and money is all life means, or that you might see that people aren't, you know, how can I say, truly interesting, that people are just trying hard, or people are just little children in front of you, or you're kind of looking at the world and you are grinning in joy of other people failing, or you are, how can I say, not connecting to the idea that other people can thrive no matter the odds. That's not easy for you. So definitely have a look at how you can become more positive, more optimistic, and be the life of the party. Be the life of the party. So it's a really, 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 really good year to just basically create joy. Create joy. Just turn up. Just follow. Just freak out. Like freak out and do crazy, awesome stuff. Wear the bracelet. You know, wear the bracelet. You know, choose a polka dot umbrella. Choose the things that you might even find grotesque. Find things in the closet you will never wear. Will never wear that. Wear this just for fun. Wear it out, just to not be so stuck up and so shy. Also, with Moon in the 1st house, I've got some Cancer influence as well in my chart. So we're all everything. So this advice can apply to many, many more people than probably watch this video. But the worst thing that we can do here in this type of transit is suffer. Suffer. You know, like, you know, he's not calling me, or I'm not going to go on a date with this person, or my child isn't doing well, or my baby's sick, you know, suffering and worrying does not bring anything. The most it can sometimes bring is them actually doing what you want. But the irony is that you can control space and time, and you can create certain outcome, but whether that outcome looks good on you or not, is questionable. So for example, you might possess somebody to take you on a date, or you might create a situation where your child is really, really, you know, traumatized by your thoughts about them or their partner, or, you know, what they're doing at school, and they create the choices, you know, they adjust to you and they make the choices that you think are good choices. And then, for example, you might find that later in life they suffer, and although they look like they're doing what you want them to do, inside, underneath, they're not happy, and there is never going to be a place for you where they can't grow. For example, you might tell them off, and then find that they will do exactly as you like on the surface. So like, say you tell your child off for having bad posture, for doing this, for doing that, and eventually, miraculously, you might celebrate this later, like 10 years later, they're exactly what you wanted them to be. And then you kind of see them later, and you see that, oh my gosh, like my punk daughter, who I wanted to be a sugar-coated 50s housewife type ideal, did become that. And she's no longer, you know, the freak show, but she's really strange. Like, say, she takes a lot of medication, and she gets many, for example, people through the door relationship-wise, and she's just not happy in life, and she can't find herself, or like she's claiming to be this, that, and the other, even though on the outside she looks very, very, very good and exactly what I wanted to see in my girl. But inside something's wrong. If you've got something like that happening, that's not easy. The best part of this, though, as a transit, is that you can change yourself. by changing your heart. The fifth house is your heart. And it's also like ovaries and the reproductive organs for men as well. It's a very, very, very nice time to start using your own inner beat, your own inner focus, your own inner joy, your own inner offbeat self, sexuality, sex, even on the first date. Like if it's really, really weird and crazy, like things that are a little bit crazy, a little bit insane, and a little bit too colorful to be true are great. And it is not really so much about morals, standing, you know, the greater industries, the greater things, you know, building and scaling up. We've got Capricorn under Pluto, so there's need to be underneath something big and, you know, grand. So the whole feeling of I want my daughter to get to the top, or I want my art, be careful of that. So my art to be in the biggest galleries. Okay, so I want my interest to be in the top of the building. I want my billboard to be above everybody else's. That's not okay, because with this type of Jupiterian transit, what we have is something very, very interesting, because you might get there, you might get it, but when you are aiming so high and have these really high ideals, or these really, really high interesting sort of vulnerabilities about what you do and do not tolerate, you know, what I do and do not tolerate, or who I do and do not tolerate, ironically, you might get what you think is good on the picture. Esther Hicks' theory of attraction, all of that stuff. You might get what's on the picture, like, oh, that matches the picture, but inside is nothing. Because when we contort and morph realities, and we want it to look like something, we'll find very, 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 very quickly, quite often, that although the reality may look like it, there is no soul behind it. It is just a picture. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but you might see, for example, you've created a blueprint, like an idea of who I want to date. You know, he's funny, he's athletic, he's enthusiastic, he's 6'2", he's tall, he's beautiful, he's free, you know, he's whatever. And you're sitting there at a table with him, and you're finally there, and say it's your third date, and you're somewhere beautiful and tropical, and it's exactly how you wished for it, and you're eating lobster. You know, and you're sitting there, and this is so beautiful and perfect, and you look into his eyes, and nobody's freaking home. He's like, oh yeah, this is great, and he's almost like, what the hell am I doing here? What the hell am I doing here? And you might not notice that. Eat, yeah, this is nice. So don't get stuck into these realities where your idealism takes you to the point of completion of the story. So the story gets seeded and the story gets created, but whether you really like it or not, whether it actually works out or not, is a huge problem later, because if you are forcing reality here to dance to your tune, if you are making friends with people that only look good but don't really have the heart, or if you are creating unions with people, creating situations of success that don't actually have anything behind them, or if you are, say, teaching somebody to do this, and this, you do this, and this, and you have too much energy over their outcome, and you're looking over their shoulder at what they're doing, like, you know, like a teacher. What are you doing? You know, do it like this, do it like that. If you're doing that, basically what makes this really, really incredible is that they do sometimes budge. Like, people budge and they do what they said they would do through you, interestingly enough. So you're almost like the perpetrator of the untruth within them, but you might see it as the greatest truth. And that's almost being like the puppeteer and the puppet at the same time, which is really freaky. So you might want them to do this, that, and the other, and they definitely do, and they commit to something exactly as you like, and you get the outcome right, you know, and you might get hired again for the type of job, or you might get, again, more income or more interesting things coming through your say hobby or home job, or you might say, you know, have your child featuring in big plays. You know, you might have your child go very far. You might get the income from things that are funny. You might get the stage, you might get the center space. But if you've had too much involvement in it and too much of your glare, very, very often, sometimes, these things crack underneath the surface. So it's almost like on the surface it looks really nice, but underneath something's cracking. And there can be, of course, issues with teeth and health and general well-being. So very much it's a very, very, very good time not to suffer so much for what is wrong, and not to give people parental advice when it's not needed. It's a very, very nice time to be neat and fun and weird. Like, look at your closet. Look at your closet, what you got in there, what looks funniest on you. And don't pretend it's not. Don't pretend it's not. Like, look funny. You know, look funny. Wear the dress. Be that girl, be that guy, be the person who crashes the party, because that's where the fun begins. As we are ascending into your 5th house. So this year you might get the chance to get the glimpse as to who you were before your life began and who you're going to become later on. So it's not just your story as you. Don't look at your story as you. You are way beyond your story, backwards and forwards. And what I mean is the spectrum of possibility is infinitely divine. And the best start and finish is the heart. The heart. The hope. The feeling inside. That's where you are. And that's what needs to do. It isn't really so much about you focusing on somebody else's appeal. It is not really about you laughing or focusing on what should or shouldn't be in the media. It is not about you laughing or focusing on who's done what, on who's creative and who's not creative, about who's done the best play and who's done the worst play, about, you know, who's better, your child or somebody else's, who's a better parent. It's a waste of your time. Just be funny, be fun, and be weird. And that's where we want you more. Thank you so much, Cancer. This is my book. Don't laugh. I'm going to change the cover maybe. I'm not sure about it. So yeah, this is my book. I've got 2 more coming very soon, and I'll put all the details in the caption below. Thanks.